What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Okay, I'm going to talk about Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter for a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about if Mikey Garcia wins this fight. Because there's a lot of conversations going on about what Mikey Garcia is going to do next. You know, I'm on record saying that I'm leaning towards Mikey Garcia in this fight against Robert Easter, but I don't think it's an easy fight. And on top of it, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Easter won. I'm really happy that Mikey Garcia went back down from 140, moved back down to 135 to face Robert Easter, and that Robert Easter is going to get a shot at unifying the WBC and the IBF belt. We will see what's going to happen in the bout, so I think it's okay to talk about other things that's been said in the media about Mikey Garcia's plans. Right quick, Robert Easter, if Robert Easter is able to win this bout, I believe that Robert Easter is going to obviously stay at 135 and try to get his hands on Ray Beltran or try to get his hands on Vasily Lomachenko. And that's my understanding, the last that I heard him speak of it. And I applaud him if he wins this bout and that's what he winds up doing. I think that's a good thing. I believe that we really need to have unifications in boxing, because when you have a unified champion, that tells you who the man at that weight class is. And I've said it in other videos, but I'll say it again. We have one weight class, cruiserweight, when Murat Gassiev faces Alexander Usyk, that we have an ability to have that, kind of, because of course the WBA has like 4 different cruiserweight champions. So seeing as there's, a Denis Medvedev is the champion in recess, because of whatever reason, whatever justification the WBA had for demoting, elevating Murat Gassiev and moving Denis Lebedev to the champion in recess, I think might be the title, whatever it is. But anyway, you got 4 WBA cruiserweight champions, and if Alexander, the winner of that bout, will have all the other 3 major belts, and plus, should be the WBA super belt, unless that is, of course, the WBA just decides that they're going to switch champions, whenever they feel like it, right? Like they just did, like the rumor is that they're doing for Lucas Matisse and Manny Pacquiao. Like all of a sudden, Manny Pacquiao's and Lucas Matisse are facing for it. So now they're going to be, I guess, now it's not been validated, I've just heard this as a rumor, that they're going to move and allow that fight to be for the WBA super title. Just absolute nonsense out of the WBA, man. They are actually, they are really, really vying for the #1 most corrupt boxing organization. And for them to be pushing up next to the WBO for that title, that's really saying a lot. But anyway, Mikey Garcia. If Mikey Garcia wins this belt against Robert Easter, there's talk about him going up there to face Errol Spence Jr. at 147. And I'm going to tell you what my stance will be on that through the whole thing. If he does that, he's ducking Vasily Lomachenko. It's obvious that Mikey is it seems to me he's one of these kind of calculating guys, clearly a talented boxer, clearly a very well-schooled boxer, but somebody that is definitely, thinking about what the best path he can take to achieve his goals are. And now that he's really the one that is in large part directing his career, he doesn't have an established promoter. He's been even more that way. Mind you, Mikey Garcia is facing Robert Easter for the unified 135-pound title, right? This will be Mikey Garcia's first bout at 135 in a year and a half. That, I do believe, is about the same amount of time since just about the same amount of time, maybe 2 months less than Keith Thurman defended his WBA title against Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman, if I recall correctly, was like the November time frame, and Mikey Garcia won the beat Zataklan Dejan Zataklan and however you pronounce his name in February of 2017. So really, this is the first time in a year and a half that Mikey Garcia has fought at lightweight, but he's held that WBC belt that whole time. So if he loses, if he wins, and if he beats Mikey Garcia, right, and then he goes up to 147, then he loses to Errol Spence Jr. up at 147. Is he defending the WBC lightweight belt while he goes up to 147, or is he going to do what he did when he took 2 fights at middleweight, at junior welterweight, and then hop back down when it looked like, in my opinion, it looked like things were going to get hot at 140 pounds. There's a lot of competition at 140 pounds that Mikey Garcia could have fought at 140 pounds. You got Regis Porgray, you got Josh Taylor, you got the entire whoever winds up coming out. You got Jose Ramirez. You got a whole lot of boxers at 140 pounds. Mikey Garcia moved up and fought Sergey Lipinets, a 13-0 kickboxer, and then vacates the belt to come back down to 135. And Mikey, now, if Lomachenko was supposed to come back, I believe he said that he's going to be coming back in August, right? He wants to come back in August. That makes it if Vasyl Lomachenko comes back in August, then what is it? September, October, November, December, January. You can face Vasyl Lomachenko in December or January. Now, Robert Garcia, is on record saying that he wants to see Mikey Garcia unify at 135. He thinks that he should push for the Vasyl Lomachenko bout, and I agree. 100%. Mikey Garcia should sit down and unify 135 pounds. Become the 135-pound belt holder. And I'm not saying this for people, because I know there are people in the comment section that are going to start talking about Mikey Garcia's, how much money Mikey Garcia is going to make and what the best route for Mikey Garcia to make money is. I don't care. Mikey Garcia is not paying me. I want to see unification at 135 pounds. Who is the 135-pound champion? Who is the best fighter at 135 pounds? As of right now, we don't know. People can say I think it's Lomachenko. I think it's Mikey Garcia. I think it's Robert Easter. I think it's Ray Beltran. We don't know. We've got 4 different champions. 4 different champions at 135 pounds. But Mikey, according to what Robert Garcia said, I keep saying Robert Easter, forgive me. According to what Robert Garcia says, is that Mikey is thinking it's going to be hard to make a fight with Vasyl Lomachenko because of Bob Arum, right? I don't think that's a reason not to try for it. I don't believe that's a valid reason not to try for it, because if you never try for it, then it's a duck. If Vasyl Lomachenko says he wants to fight Mikey Garcia, he takes one fight to make sure his shoulder's cool. That's in fashion these days. He takes one, but honestly, dude manned up. If what he said is true and he really can come back in August, that little Ukrainian manned up quick. Like, nah, I'm ready to roll. Let's go. Now, if Vasyl Lomachenko is willing to do that, come back, get whoever he's gonna fight, and then fight again. Hey man, Mikey Garcia needs to call for that fight. Mikey Garcia needs to put public pressure on Bob Arum. Vasyl Lomachenko can put internal pressure on Bob Arum to make that big fight happen. It's not like ESPN, these fights at ESPN are doing terribly well. That does not look like the healthiest organization in the world. And if Vasyl Lomachenko is pushing for the bout and saying, no, I want it, I can beat him. No, I want him, I can beat him. Then he can make it happen. But if Mikey Garcia, there's a better chance that it happens. But if Mikey Garcia just leaves to go fight a fight he can't win, thinking, hey man, I'm in a no-lose scenario because I can go fight Errol Spence Jr. and Errol Spence Jr. If I lose, everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, but he moved all the way up to 147, so he gets some type of brownie points for losing a fight. He gets a big paycheck and a bunch of brownie points, no matter how. And then he goes to the Hall of Fame if he wins. Nah, man, I want to know who the best 135-pound fighter is, man. because you might have lost to Vasily Lomachenko. It could be, yeah, you lose, you go up there and you lose to Errol Spence Jr., but you could also lose to Vasily Lomachenko. Let me see if you're gonna beat Lomachenko. If you go up there, oh yeah, then you say, okay, I'm just gonna stay here. You know, I made a big paycheck off this Errol Spence Jr. deal. I went, 10 rounds, or got, whatever. Say he manages to move and stay out the way, finds a way to go the distance, and he just loses a lopsided fight. Then, oh yeah, hey, maybe I'll just stay and try to get I'm not interested in that, man. We already got enough confusion. And again, this is my point of view, obviously, when I say I'm not interested in that. We already have enough nonsense going on at welterweight. We already got Keith Thurman, Mike. We already got Errol. We already got Terrence Crawford. We've got Errol Spence Jr. We got whatever's going to go on with the WBA and whatever's going to go on with the WBC. The WBC, the winner of Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. Or if Keith Thurman is able to keep his belt, Keith Thurman. If not, then Manny Pacquiao and Lucas Matisse. Now, if they elevate Manny Pacquiao and or Lucas Matisse to that WBA thing, we ain't getting any unification in 147, because there ain't no way in the world these cats are gonna throw just gonna throw it away and go over there to Errol Spence. Right? Maybe they could get one out of Terrence Crawford. I'm okay, because Terrence Crawford will be, Lucas Matisse don't want no Terrence Crawford. Manny Pacquiao don't want Terrence Crawford. Neither one of them are going to go anywhere near Errol Spence. So the situation is already muddled enough without bringing in another little guy that people are willing to make fights with so that they can get good paydays, but never unify or bring closure to, or at least not closure, but bring clarity to who the man at 147 is. So right now we got no clarity at 147. We got no clarity at 145. We got no clarity at 140. We got no clarity we got some close to clarity at 154, like it's heading there. Right? It's heading there at 154. At 160 there's no clarity. We got Gennady Golovkin throwing belts aside for whatever reason, taking Vanis Martirosyan bouts and things like that. It's just, I don't want to see it, man. I would much rather have unification. Mikey, there's a lot of respect Mikey Garcia can make if Mikey Garcia listens to his brother and does it the way Robert Garcia said. That's, in my opinion, that's the way to do it. Mikey Garcia, fight Robert Easter if you win. If you don't win, rematch Robert Easter. Rematch him. If it's a close bout and you get a decision, rematch him. If there's not clarity to that, either fight at Robert Easter. If you lose to Robert Easter, rematch Robert Easter and see if you can get a run back out of Robert Easter. If you beat Robert Easter convincingly, then try to figure out what you can do to get a stay busy bout before you can get in with either Ray Beltran or you can get in with Vasily Lomachenko. And try to unify 135. If he unifies 135, however that case goes, then go to 140. If you want to skip 140, skip 140 and go to 147 then. And try to get those. But I would rather see the cat fight Terrence Crawford. Because if you can negotiate a Vasily Lomachenko bout, you can negotiate a Terrence Crawford bout. Maybe, but it is what it is, man. I want to see Errol Spence in there with Danny Garcia or Sean Porter winner. If Keith Thurman is able to keep his WBA belt, let him fight Keith Thurman. Let Errol Spence Jr. get his shine by beating legitimate cats. Other than the money that comes from Mikey Garcia, that's a lose-lose situation for Errol Spence Jr. If he doesn't knock Mikey Garcia out in 5 seconds, all of a sudden he's a fraud. If he does knock him out, he beat a little guy up he had no business in the ring with. So that's a lose-lose fight for Errol Spence Jr. and a win-win situation for Mikey Garcia. But in my mind, he would have ducked Vasily Lomachenko. So man, don't let this. I'm not going to make any excuses. If Mikey Garcia doesn't call out or call for a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia would be ducking Vasily Lomachenko. If Robert Easter wins that belt and he don't call for of Vasil Lomachenko or Ray Beltran, then Robert Easter would be ducking Vasil Lomachenko. And I'd be the first one to be on Vasil Lomachenko for people saying he's, for overhyping him, comparing him to people he shouldn't be compared to after 12 fights and all that. But on the real, if Mikey Garcia slips his behind up there, if he gets his Mikey Garcia wins and he leaves to fight Errol Spence, I don't care what it is, he's ducking Vasil Lomachenko. Because if he loses to a smaller guy, if he loses to Vasil Lomachenko, his career takes a hit. That's a risk for him. They're not going to forgive him for losing to a smaller guy, right? But if he loses to Errol Spence Jr., then it's hey, well, he was just bigger anyway, and we're going to give him brownie points for the fact that he took the risk. Sometimes it's easier. You look better in fights that you're not supposed to win than beating the guys that you're supposed to fight. Mikey's supposed to be fighting Lomachenko. He's supposed to fight Wade Beltran. He's the WBC lightweight champion. He's been holding that belt for a year and a half, and this is his first defense. The very least he can do is work towards unification. And with that, I'm out. Peace.